Ilia Topuria just brutally KO'd Charles Oliveira in the main event of UFC 317 to become the new lightweight champion. And what an incredible performance from Ilia Topuria this was. To put out Charles Oliveira in that fashion, slumped him out cold, brutal first round KO, picture perfect right hook that actually slumped him, landed a nasty left hook right as Charles Oliveira stiffened, falling back, and then follows up with two brutal hammer fists to become the new lightweight champion. And man, you don't really see Charles Oliveira get put out like that. Charles Oliveira will lose. He gets dropped by Islam, submitted by Islam. Islam dominated him. But to watch this type of KO, to see Oliveira just get flatlined, just laying like he's in a coffin on the ground, was spectacular to see. And this was a performance from Ilia Topuria that is going to really help elevate his stardom. I think the Conor McGregor comparisons are getting a little bit too crazy, but there is no doubt that the UFC is in need of stars, and Ilia Topuria tonight had a win against Charles Oliveira that can help push him closer to the top of UFC stardom. Let's go through the fight. The fight obviously ended in the first round. Ilia Topuria dominated this fight from start to finish. There was some crazy exchanges. I went back and rewatched it, considering the fight only lasted 2.5 minutes. I went back and rewatched it again after watching it live. Charles really didn't land anything. Early, there was a couple wild exchanges. All the exchanges, Ilia was landing the better shots on the feet. He's pumping the jab. I think he landed a nasty right hand. Oliveira landed a couple leg kicks, but it was very, very clear that Ilia Topuria was getting the better of the boxing, and that's why Charles Oliveira immediately initiated the clinch, looked for a takedown. Ilia Topuria reverses him as it's like Charles has him up against the fence, looks to like trip him down. Ilia Topuria ends up taking Charles down and ends up on top. Then immediately passes the side control. Then Charles tries to scramble for like a leg lock. Topuria landed a couple shots, couple ground and pound shots on the ground. And there's one moment where the leg's in deep and like Topuria trips, and I start wondering like, oh, could this be something? Could he be in real trouble here, as Joe Rogan would say? Ilia then just pulls the leg out, ends up getting out of the leg lock, stands back up, is like hovering over Charles Oliveira as he's got Charles is laying on his back with his hands on his head, on the back of his head. Ilia throws a couple leg kicks and then waves him up essentially. Well, Mark Goddard came in between them and let Charles Oliveira up. Ilia starts tagging him again, jabs and good shots on the feet. Charles immediately starts clinching up again. Ilia defends all that, breaks out of the clinch, jabs him to the body. I think it was a jab to the body, a jab upstairs. Then Charles continued to pressure because Charles was fighting in the way he needed to fight to beat Topuria. It's also the way you get brutally KO'd by Topuria as well. And he pressures. It's a jab to the body, jab upstairs. Then I think another jab that doesn't land. Right hand right behind it that slumped Charles. He was stiffened on the feet. He was going to fall. And then a picture perfect, super technical left hand right on the jaw. Put Charles Oliveira flat down on the canvas. And then a couple ground and pound shots, hammer fist, to finish off Charles Oliveira. Pause. To become the new UFC lightweight champion. Insane performance. And really, I mean, I just went through the entirety of the fight. Charles landed a couple leg kicks. I mean, he was bleeding badly after they got up off the ground. I believe it was a right hand that landed before the takedown from Ilia Topuria. And I've been screaming this from the rooftops for literally years. Ilia Topuria was primarily a grappler before the UFC. I know it's crazy because his boxing is so elite, but he was primarily a grappler. And he took Charles Oliveira down. He avoided the submission attempts. And then he got right back up and went right back to work with the boxing. And it's like every time Charles Oliveira entered the pocket to exchange, Ilia was dodging the shots. I don't think Ilia got 8-1 punch. I don't think he ate one shot to the face in this fight. And then he slumped him out cold. Put him out cold. Now I know, people are going to call me an Ilia Topuria hater. It seems it's very weird. I get called Ilia Topuria hater. Last year I was called an Ilia Topuria fanboy. I've been a big believer in Ilia Topuria since he came into the UFC. I do think people are getting a little overly crazy about this win. They're acting like it's some legendary once-in-a-lifetime win. Don't get me wrong. Topuria's on a crazy win streak, but let's pump the brakes. It's Charles Oliveira. Very good win. Very good win. The way he put him out cold, amazing win. But listen, if you watch Charles Oliveira and you've watched his career play out, you knew this was going to happen. I picked Topuria via brutal second round KO. It's just the way this fight was going to play out no matter what. Charles had to make it dirty. Charles fought with a game plan to win this fight, but it's also the very same game plan that's going to get you brutally put out cold, and that's exactly what happened because Charles had to make it dirty. He had to make it dirty. But at the end of the day, you look back at Charles Oliveira's fights, he's getting dropped by Justin Gaethje, dropped by Dustin Poirier, dropped by Michael Chandler. Ilia Topuria is so technical in his boxing and has nasty power and turns over his hips. Man, some people were wondering, does that power translate up from featherweight to lightweight? It does. It does. We haven't seen anyone put Charles Oliveira out like that. We've seen him get dropped countless times. But to get put out like that was very impressive from Ilia Topuria. And I cannot wait to see who he fights next. It's looking like it's going to be the Paddy Pimblett fight. That's a bit unfortunate. I wanted the Arman Tsarukyan fight. I know people crucify me for that. Arman missed weight. He got injured. Let's take him at his word. We don't have any other information to prove otherwise. He's injured. He didn't want to fight Islam Makhachev injured. He pulled out. He weighed in as a backup for this fight. I think he's the most dangerous contender to fight Ilia Topuria. And I'll tell you this right now. I'd pick Topuria over Arman. I think Ilia Topuria is one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. I would love to see. I didn't really care that. I don't want to say I didn't care at all. But like the Topuria Islam fight, it's not like I was like, oh man, I'm so upset we missed out on this fight, because I was like, Ilia at lightweight's a lot of fun and Islam at welterweight's a lot of fun. I got to be honest, now that Ilia has a win at lightweight, I want Topuria Islam more than anything. Especially everyone's talking now. Man, no wonder Islam ran up to welterweight. That's crazy. Jack Della Maddalena is a very dangerous opponent as well, who is bigger than Islam. Islam would have a size advantage over Ilia Topuria. I'm praying somehow Topuria Islam comes to fruition. Islam beats JDM, comes back down. Ilia Topuria is still the champion. Imagine what a super fight that would be. Imagine Ilia Topuria defends his belt one time. Islam beats JDM and then comes back down and fights Ilia Topuria for his lightweight title that he never lost. That would be absolutely insane. But ultimately, I think it's going to be Paddy Pimblett. They wave Paddy Pimblett in afterwards. Topuria's talking about Paddy Pimblett. He's like, I got that blonde bitch in the crowd. He says, bring Paddy in here. Bring him in here. They have their little face-off. Topuria said, I'm going to put my balls on your forehead. Another Conor McGregor line. And there's the beta soy push, which I don't really like. I liked it up until that point because that's a massive fight. And Paddy is arguably deserving. I thought Paddy was more deserving than Charles Oliveira. I know people called me crazy for that. Paddy's on a win streak, coming off a dominant win over Michael Chandler. Oliveira was on a one-fight win streak where he beat Chandler and dominated Chandler, but almost got finished by Chandler in the 5th round. So I thought Paddy was more deserving than Charles Oliveira in this, at UFC 317. But I got to be honest, in terms of meritocracy, I really want to see Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. I want to see that next. I think Arman is the most dangerous opponent for Ilia Topuria. But it seems like Dana, I don't know if he's playing coy or what. He was complaining at the post-fight presser. He was like, yeah, I don't know who let Paddy in there, man. Who let Paddy in there? I don't want that. Like, Dana was like acting like that was some big egregious mistake. Like somebody got shot or somebody got stabbed or something crazy happened. No, there was a little back and forth. It was actually entertaining. It was actually promo value there. They're going to use that in the fight. If Topuria does fight Paddy next, they're going to use that in the fight promotion. And it was interesting. It was mildly interesting. Topuria going back and forth with Paddy for a little bit. The little shove afterwards, which I wasn't a huge fan of. That's too WWE style. Plus, it looked really weak, if I must be honest. But I just don't see any way, shape, or form that the UFC does not make Ilia versus Paddy next. It's just such a mega fight. The seeds were sown 3 years ago, I think it was, when they had that little backstage altercation where Paddy's throwing a hand sanitizer bottle at Ilia Topuria. Now, with that being said, I think Paddy has been criminally underrated for the majority of his career. I think Topuria slumps him out bad, man. I do not think Paddy has a chance to beat Ilia Topuria. I think that would be insane. Paddy is very big. He does have good grappling. Topuria is a better grappler. Topuria has better jiu-jitsu. Topuria's boxing is unbelievable. Topuria's finishing ability is unbelievable. I said this on my live stream. Topuria is who people acted like Conor McGregor was. okay? If you guys know my take on Conor, Conor's the most overrated fighter of all time, okay? He was an industry plant. He had a couple good finishes, woohoo, never defended a belt. Ilia Topuria is that fucking guy. His striking is unbelievable. His finishing power is unbelievable. He's beating top guys. I mean, the 3-fight win streak, I mean, to go from Volkanovski by KO, beating Volkanovski via KO, brutal KO, KOing Max Holloway, brutal KO, and then moving up in weight and KOing Charles Oliveira is absolutely insane. A crazy win streak and super impressive. Then if he KOs Paddy next, let's say he beats Arman and Paddy, I think he's already one of the best of all time. He's already one of the greatest of all time. He has some work to do at lightweight before we start talking about him greatest of all time at lightweight. But I mean, he just looks unbelievable. And if you watched him outside the UFC, you know his grappling ability, you know his submission ability. Joe Rogan didn't when he first came into the UFC. He's rolling around with Ryan Hall, and Joe Rogan's like, why is he doing this, man? This is going to be real dangerous. Ryan Hall's super dangerous, flopping around on his back. And then when Topuria goes to the ground with Bryce Mitchell, oh, he's entering Bryce's world. Topuria's a better grappler, and he ragdolled him and subbed him. So, to be honest, these are great wins. I think people are getting a little bit carried away. We again, I said this a little bit earlier. I don't want to talk about that too much because I feel like after a performance like this, I don't want to sit here and like almost borderline shit on him. People are getting a little bit carried away. Like, oh yeah, man, no way, no wonder Islam ran away. JDM's a super tough matchup, and I'm hoping Islam Topuria still happens down the line. That is the fight to make right now. I almost wish Topuria would have come up, beat Charles Oliveira for a number 1 contender spot, and then fought Islam. I really would have liked that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We're going to get Topuria Paddy. That's going to be a banger fight. It should be Arman, but it's still going to be a banger fight. And, I mean, Ilia has proven himself. He's proven himself at lightweight. We only saw him fight Jai Herbert previously, and he got rocked badly by a head kick. He didn't get touched in this fight. I'm hoping that, I guess he wouldn't return till like November, December. He probably wouldn't return till December. I hope he fights again this year. I'm just thinking about that right now. I don't want him to sit out until 2026. He should fight Paddy or Arman December, November, December. It's looking like November's probably booked. I don't know which order they're going to put it in, but they're going to have JDM versus Islam. They're going to have Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane most likely. And then I guess December is the only fight, only month we don't have booked. So book Ilia Topuria's first title defense at lightweight. Book him in December against Paddy or Arman. I think that makes the most sense. I really do. But Ilia is definitely going to be the guy that's going to get a lot of push from the UFC. He's definitely going to be the guy that Ariel Helwani dances for, which rubs me the wrong way, to be quite honest. But that's nothing to do with Ilia Topuria. Again, who remembers? Let me know down in the comments. Who remembers in the lead up to UFC 308? Who remembers when people were saying, man, you're one of those Topuria fanboys? And now some people are like, man, you don't praise him enough because I called out the commissioner saying he was a half-pound overweight, which nobody talked about it. Still nobody talked about it. At the end of the day, and I didn't make this very clear in my video, it wasn't even really anything against Ilia Topuria. It was the fact that the commission was willing to so openly bend the rules in front of the MMA media for the UFC and not really care. At the end of the day, Topuria could have lost the weight. The half a pound isn't a significant advantage anyway. There could have been a legitimate mistake. But at the end of the day, it was a story that should have been covered. Ariel turned the other way. Nobody talked about it at all. I haven't seen anyone really talk about it. It became a little bit of a stir after I made that video. But it was an abomination that the commission is willing to just bend to the knees, to the will, get on their knees for the UFC and Dana White. So I don't want to talk about it too much. I've already covered that. But, man, guys, this was an incredible win from Ilia Topuria. I want to see him versus Islam bad. I wish, low-key, I know Islam wants to become a double champ. I don't think he's scared of Ilia Topuria at all. I want Islam Topuria way more than I want Islam JDM. But it's just not going to happen. They're going to book Islam JDM, most likely MSG, early October, I believe October 4th. Ilia's going to beat Paddy. Does anyone think Paddy's going to beat Ilia? Is anyone picking Paddy? I think that would be a crazy pick. I mean, he went out there and just flatlined Charles Oliveira. Nobody's flatlined Charles like that. And the thing is, he didn't get touched. He did not get touched. His striking is so damn good. There's going to be people in this video say, man, you're glazing Topuria too. There's literally going to be two types of comments on this video. You're glazing Topuria too much, and you're shitting on him too much. You're a hater. I think some people are acting like this win is supernatural almost. I remember this with Conor McGregor. Like, Topuria's reached an era in his career where people are like, oh my God, man, he's calling his shots, and he's good. He's good. But Charles gets hit a lot, okay? Let's not act like we didn't all see this. Let me look at Tapology real quick, just out of curiosity. Let's not act like we didn't all see this coming. 93% of the 80% that picked Topuria picked him via KO. I thought it was going to take him to the second round. But Charles came to fight, man. Charles came, looked to put on that pressure on Ilia Topuria, hoped to catch him with a big shot, never touched him. Never really touched him other than a couple leg kicks. Got ragged out in the grappling. Couldn't find a knee bar. And then eventually got slumped out cold. But we all saw this coming. I can't wait to see what's next. I think Topuria is one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. Would love to see him versus Islam. I hope that we get to see that fight. I still slightly favor Islam, but it's a close fight. But I know there's going to be fanboys on both sides. Topuria wrecks him. That's why Islam ran away. Islam wrecks him, and that's why he doesn't want to fight the smaller guys, the midgets, whatever they want to call them. I think the truth is really, the reality is somewhere in the middle. But to wrap up this video, great performance from Ilia Topuria. Can't wait to see his next fight. He is one of the biggest names in the UFC. This was a bit of a coming out party. I still don't think he's the mega star the UFC and the MMA media is going to act like he is. He can get there with another win or two, I believe. But man, there's nothing but great matchups for Ilia Topuria. I hope he doesn't retire early like he's always talked about. I don't want to see him fight one more fight and then retire, like beat up Paddy, then say, I want to go up to welterweight and then potentially retire after that. I don't want to see that. He's 28 years old. I hope he sticks around for another 3-4 years. And to be honest, as much as he's hyped up, he deserves the hype. I've been hyping him up since he entered the UFC. Conor McGregor is a fraud. I said this already before, I think. Yeah, I already said this in this video. Ilia Topuria is who Conor thought he was before all the graping up a storm. Okay? Ilia is that guy. Elite level striking, beating the best, knocking them out cold, defending titles. And man, his future's very bright. His future's, he's not calling for he's not calling for a boxing match. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. But great UFC 317 main event performance from Ilia Topuria. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.